Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the special episodes of the Media Boat podcast, part of our year-end wrap-up, where we talk about movies, TV, music, and video games, end of the year style. My name is Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us for the Media Boat Podcast wrap up special. Today, we are wrapping up the year in television. And basically, how this works, in case you haven't tuned into one of these before, is we'll run down the news stories for this category of the year. A little recap for you if you somehow forgot, like got amnesia or something. And then at the end of that, we'll pick one story to choose as the top story of television for the year of 2025. Then we'll go through our top five favorite TV shows from the year, each individually, and then crown one to be the Media Boat favorite television show of the year. So, without further ado, why don't we go ahead and start our recap?
Yep, and we're going to start all the way back in January, and we're going to get sports out of the way because there were some new leagues that occurred in 2025, including the TGL, the electronic golf simulator put on by Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy, to middling and mixed reviews, depending how you viewed that stadium output and the virtual golfness of it. We also had Unrivaled, which was that three-on-three women's basketball tournament that occurred. We also had some AUSL over the course of the year, and by the very end, the Women's Baseball League as well.
Yeah, exciting times if you need an alternative to your baseball team, which sucks.
Yes, and it would have been nice if we could watch all those sports in one place, but unfortunately, Venue Sports, that proposed combination
Yes,
of
didn't.
ESPN, Fox, and Warner Brothers Discovery, well, no, it no longer was going to be moving forward.
It no longer exists, as they
No
would
longer
say.
exists. Yeah, thanks, Fubo.
Yeah, thank you, Fubo.
All right. Well, we also had television dealing with those fires in LA, the Palisade fires, and slowly got back to business with a very somber opening for Jimmy Kimmel Live. Yep, where he and his production company were able to help any cast and crew impacted by those fires.
Yeah.
If you're listening, we did talk about the fires a little bit more in depth on the music wrap up.
Yeah. I mean, of course, their impact will pop up every once in a while in other categories, but yes, we did give them their due, question mark, if that's such a thing you can do, in the music category.
Yes. This year also saw the 50th anniversary special for Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Uh, do you think it lived up to the hype, or did it
You
do
know,
just enough?
I think those things are really hard to do. I think it's a tough thing to do to recap 50 years of history. I think, for the most part they did what they needed to do, which is they had the big guest stars, they had like returning cast members, the ones you'd want to see. And like yeah, and like I think that some of the sketches worked, but because it's SNL, not all the sketches worked. And yeah, I think that ultimately and maybe, in fact, that's maybe better at reflecting the legacy of the show. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I thought it was a good time. I actually ended up preferring the music special to the actual special by the end. I
Yes,
was
the
like,
Questlove Doc special.
oh, that too. Well, I'm talking about the with the concerts
Oh,
thing
the
that they
concert
did.
one, yeah.
Yeah, I ended up liking that. I think a little bit more, but yeah, I think well, both were like, they were okay for what they were. I think it's impossible to truly celebrate 50 years in reverence when you're talking about a comedy show, you know.
Yep. Uh, I mean, it's yeah, 50 years it has a lot of characters, and some of those characters or those actors age out of those characters.
Yeah.
Like seeing Rachel Dratch come back in a very awkward Debbie Downer phase. Uh, or just seeing Jimmy Fallon anywhere and breaking
Yeah, yeah,
character
yeah.
constantly. All right. Let's continue on then and stick with Peacock as one of our favorites will be returning literally in 6 weeks from now
Hmm.
as Gold Zone Season 2 with the Winter Olympics was officially announced.
We love Gold Zone here, and we're excited for some Olympic coverage, especially Olympic coverage that never ends and goes immediately to the gold medal.
Yes.
It's
All
great.
the action, all the gold ceremonies, all the competition.
I can't wait to hear we're joining women's ice skating in progress.
Already in progress.
Yes. Oh man. Gold Zone.
Yep.
It still
Uh,
sounds to me like an idea that Jack Donaghy would have had in 30 Rock, but positive. Like
yeah.
not negative. Anyway.
Anyways, speaking of season two, Avatar officially got greenlit with a second iteration, Avatar Seven Havens, and we got our official sneak peek of it later in the year as well. That series is set to debut next year, 20 years. Well, it's already been 20 years since the original Avatar, the animated cartoon, not the James
Right.
Cameron
Yeah, we
movie.
should be specific because there are too much Avatar things happening this year.
Yep. Yeah. Let's see here. We also had a rare deal where Fox picked up all four TV animated series for 15 episodes each,
Yeah.
confirming that Fox TV is not going away from its animation domination Sunday broadcast.
It was interesting considering all the rumors that had them saying, "Oh, well, Disney's going to take over The Simpsons and it's going to be like a Disney Plus streaming thing going forward." But no, Fox is showing that they still want to be in this genre and are willing to pay a little bit for it.
Yep. Um, we also had an announcement that Sesame Street Workshop would be downsizing significantly, especially since it's going from Warner Bros. Discovery to Netflix.
Yes. Yeah, Warner didn't want to renew that deal. But yes, it does also return to PBS as part of this deal as well. It'll both air both places. It'll be on Netflix, but also on PBS stations.
Yep. We also had announcements of upcoming TV shows, including a new Scooby-Doo show over on Netflix, a new Clueless show over on Peacock, and a new Power Rangers series over at Disney.
Yep.
Do you note with that last one? This was the first year there was no new Power Rangers since it began.
That's wild. In over 20, 25 years almost. Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Uh, 1995, 4?
Oh, geez. Yeah, you're right.
So, sorry, you missed a decade there.
Yeah, I missed one, huh?
Yes. It's okay. It's a lot. We also had the NBC spin-off, Versant, as NBC Universal split its movie division and its TV cable networks. Psh.
Yeah, I totally forgot this happened because I feel like you don't think like we don't think about it ever. We don't think about those cable networks.
Well, that's because we were most talking about Warner Brothers Discovery and how they
Right.
split theirs off as well.
Yeah.
Well, they did
Oh,
that, and then they also remember how they went from HBO to HBO Go to HBO Now to HBO Max to Max, and then went back to HBO
HBO
Max
Max. Yeah. It's
because that was
confusing.
this year. They went back to HBO Max.
Jeez.
Yep. And then we also, speaking of Warner Bros. Discovery, announced the new three leads for the Harry Potter series, and that is currently
Yeah.
in production.
If we must address this.
This is their noteworthy
Sure.
because I'm sure there are a lot of people out there excited for this.
Should they be though? Should they?
Well,
Say.
it's must we see
Yeah,
TV.
must we? Exactly.
All right. And then here's our WBD Global Networks, home to the streaming service and CNN mostly, and TNT, and then WDB Streaming and Studios, which is the film division. Um, and then we had Paramount. What a year they had. Uh,
Yeah, it's still continuing as we
it's still
as we
continuing.
speak. It's
Yes.
never going to end.
Uh, well, this little footnote here of Paramount and South Park Studios, where they had a little bit of, should we say, contract negotiation meddling
Hmm.
as they renewed their deal, ultimately resulting in staying in Paramount, but also not knowing that they would then be sold literally the next year.
Yeah.
So they had them locked in for 10 years, but maybe they don't want to stay around for those 10 years now with the new company change going on.
Hmm.
Let's see here. We also had our Emmy noms, which had Severance at the top with 27 nominations. Did not really translate to a whole lot of awards, though.
No.
But we also had The Penguin, The Studio, and The White Lotus, and The Last of Us with your top nominations.
Yep.
I can tell you that at least one of these shows we actually enjoyed.
Yeah. We'll talk about it, I'm sure.
Yes, we will. And then we had the unfortunate news that CBS will be officially getting out of the late night talk show business, where it will end the late show in next year, May of
Yeah.
2026.
Yeah.
Actually, 5 months from now, that clock is ticking.
Yeah.
We're in the
Yeah.
back half of the
Soon.
year here. Yep. They did say in a statement that it was a quote financial decision to end the late show. But then again, they also ended the late show.
Yeah.
And then they also ended the After Midnight show, which followed it as well
Yeah.
after two
Yeah.
seasons.
R.I.P.
I'm sure Stephen Colbert will be just fine, but everyone else who works on that staff, because it's not just him putting it all together.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And then, yes, the official sale of Paramount passed the FCC, uh, even though they did end up paying a $16 million or settled a $16 million lawsuit to, meet that approval literally days later. Not that we can say that it was a bribe, but Stephen Colbert could definitely say it was a bribe.
Yeah. Hmm.
Let's see. And then we had the CPB, the Corporate for Public Broadcasting, would be shutting down its operations after the loss of federal funding, marking the end of an almost 6 decades as the entity that distributed grants to public media services like PBS and NPR, which means they now solely depend on viewers like you.
Like me?
I'm sure you contribute to PBS, right?
Well, someone in this household does. Yeah, no, this is obviously one of the biggest disappointments of the year. Public broadcasting is great. It's like one of the few places that we have, relatively unbiased coverage, like coverage of a lot of different things, a lot more world news, a lot more like stuff that isn't covered elsewhere and isn't like kind of, speckled with like the I don't know, the sensationalist journalism that sometimes happens in your local news. Then on top of news, you have children's entertainment, which is of course absolutely amazing at. See our conversation about Sesame Street. And so, yeah, it's very unfortunate that the funding is going to like basically dry up and they're going to be so reliant on their communities. I mean, it depends on the market, of course. Some PBS stations, some NPR stations are going to be less affected by this than others. But even the local LA ones are going to be a little struggling, and that's one of the biggest markets in the state in the nation. So like just consider, helping out your PBS station, making sure that they can still continue doing this important coverage Now I feel like I'm doing
An ad
a
read.
full like a thing for them. But yes, because they always say that, right? Like so we can do the important journalism that we do in your community. I mean, but it's right. They're right. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, just one of the many disappointing factors of this current administration that we kind of now have to deal with the fallout of, unfortunately.
It's yes, very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Um, Not much that we can like I said, do to help because voting matters. But we're not a political podcast here. So let's
No.
get back into
Believe it or not.
television and back into our bread and butter with sports. And ESPN had a rebranding of sorts where they introduced ESPN Unlimited.
Yeah.
And with that announcement came also the announcement of ESPN and the NFL making a new agreement to control the NFL networks, including the NFL channel, NFL Fantasy, and the Red Zone channel,
Yep. Yep.
in exchange for
Yep.
10% equity stake in ESPN. Do you accept the
Yeah.
bid sharks? ESPN also made a deal with the WWE, which will be starting in 2026.
Yeah.
And they, not to be outdone, Fox One was also introduced to help with the streaming demand of we're trying to get Fox and all my Fox News,
Yeah.
and Fox Business, and Fox
Yeah.
Weather, and Fox Sports, and Fox Deportes, and Big Ten networks.
Yeah. Yeah, I said it at the time. It feels like a way to Trojan horse Fox News into sports people's houses, which
Oh, yes.
sucks. But, I guess there's a market for it.
Well, especially with NFL games being exclusively on Fox. And if you don't have Red
Mhm.
Zone or a way to watch it, then you're like, okay, I have to sign up for it.
Yeah.
Same thing with like the World Series when it comes around. If I
Yeah.
want to watch the World Series, I gotta watch it on Fox.
It's just unfortunate. It's like, oh, I got to install the propaganda machine if I want to watch my football team. Great. Awesome.
Yeah. We also had, oh yeah, the split of MSN from NBC to be known as MS Now. Yes, not MS later,
Now,
MS
right
Now.
now.
I want my MS and I want it now.
Yeah. Hmm. I don't know about that sentence. I don't love it. Anyways.
Anyways, it's my MS and I need it now.
No. Oh no.
All right, let's see here. And then we also had SNL departures, as we always do, with Devon Walker, let go, same with Michael Longfellow, and Emil Joaquin.
Yeah.
Also, Heidi Gardner left before the season started, unlike Bowen Yang, who left
Right.
mid-season.
Yeah, breaking news on that one. We have not
And
talked about that proper on the podcast yet.
hey,
Yeah. Hmm.
by the time you hear this, we will have talked about it on the
I
podcast.
guess you're right. But yeah, I mean, to coincide with the 50th anniversary, the show did what it always did, which is it's a revolving door sometimes. Like people come
Yep.
in for a season, people leave after a season. Surprise for me was Emil, because I feel like he had kind of a breakout and then okay, bye. Like some people use it as a stepping stone, I guess, to do other things. And other people are there forever. Like I will definitely miss Heidi Gardner. She was one of the better cast members, I think, in the last 5 years. That's a big loss. But hey, Keenan's still there. Against all odds, he's not leaving.
I'm pretty sure he's fused with the building by now.
Yeah, I think so. What was it like this past, like this one of the new editions? They said something about like it's the first time that somebody had. Oh, no, 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 never mind. It was a musical guest. They were talking about when was it Somber? I think when Somber performed, they said something about this is the first time a musical guest is played that was born after Keenan Thompson started, which is really entertaining to me. Goes to show you. But yeah.
Yes. And then we can recap our Emmy winners as the studio made history, with Seth Rogen picking up four more awards, including the Creative Arts ones, including Outstanding Comedy Series, Outstanding Lead Actor for himself, Comedy Directing, and Comedy Writing. In total, the studio took home 13 awards.
Oh, we'll talk
The,
about it.
the Penguin earned the second most Emmys, while winning only one at the primetime ceremony for Kristen Melody, and another eight at the Creative Arts Emmys, for a total of 9 awards. Adolescence, Severance, and SNL 50 each took home 8 awards. But The Pit won 5 Emmys, including Best Supporting Actress in a Drama, Lead Actor in a Drama, and Best Drama Series.
Yeah.
And we will talk about that show later as well.
Mhm.
And then on his way out, The Late Show with Stephen Colbert scored its first ever win in the Outstanding Talk Series category. Um, Mostly bolstered by Jimmy Kimmel pulling up a billboard saying, "I'm voting for Stephen."
Yeah. Yeah.
And it seems like everyone was like, "Here's your award
You're
on the way
right.
out."
It did feel a little ceremonial, but at the same time, though, he may have earned it considering that this year they're a very political show, and like this year gave them a lot of material to work with, needless to say. So yeah, I'm sure that Steven is kind of going out on a high note.
Yeah, unlike Jimmy Kimmel, because what a whirlwind week Jimmy Kimmel
Yeah,
had.
seriously.
Because following the Emmy wins, or the Emmy Award show, Jimmy Kimmel Live was suspended in production to, quote, avoid further flaming the intense situation of our country. Because Nexstar Media and Sinclair Broadcasting decided that they would no longer air Jimmy Kimmel Live following one of his monologues.
Yeah.
Um,
There's a
then the
lot.
FCC chair got
Yeah.
involved with it as well,
Yeah.
saying that they'd have to look into curbing Jimmy Kimmel. And eventually, this all kind of worked out because Disney saw what was said, eventually went back on it and said,
Yeah.
okay, we're going to put Jimmy Kimmel back on it a week, literally like a week or 10 days later. And I think for when it came out, Sinclair decided not to continue airing Jimmy Kimmel Live in its subsidiaries. Um, so yeah, late night Jimmy Kimmel being taken aim at.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that there's a lot to talk about with this story. It's not just a television story. This is really a politics story. It has a lot of like commentary on where we're at in television right now and where we're at as a country. Because like it's a combination of what is happening to late night, right? Like the idea of late night television has been basically around since television began. It's been a staple of how we engage with TV and always have. Some of the most important television shows of all time have been late night shows. And so it's a format that if it goes away, it's like we're feels like we're losing a pillar of television entertainment, like part of its legacy. Then on top of that, you have the political ramifications of it, right? Which is like, and you cannot have a like quote free press unquote if you have television, a one of the pieces of media and one of the ways that people get their information compromised by your government. And this is obviously an overreach. This is an overstep because if you're starting to have the government and the FCC as an arm of the government say what can and can't be said about the political moment on television, that becomes a fascist state. And like I think that people were catching on to that, and that was the conversation at the time. I mean, yeah, say what you will about ABC eventually course correcting. I think that ultimately money became the question as opposed to political favors. And yeah, ultimately they decided like, well, we're losing advertising revenue, we're losing ratings by pulling this program, this very popular program from our station. So yeah, of course they're going to put it back eventually. But
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, most likely they're losing subscriptions to both Hulu and Disney Plus in
yeah,
a stark boycott.
Yes, exactly. When it led to a boycott, I think you did have that conversation. Like, what happens to our streaming numbers, which are already falling? Like, they're already, treating Disney Plus internally as this boondoggle. And so, like, if that's the narrative, then that they need to correct that right away, because then investors are mad, and you don't want the investors to be mad because that affects what they actually care about. And so, yeah, it's a story that involves a lot of different pieces right now, and I don't know, it might be the story of the year, but well, we'll get there. We'll get there.
We'll get there because we have one story here that might just contend with it, and that is uh AI.
Hmm.
Because remember when we talked about Tilly Norwood, the AI
Yeah, the fake
generated
actor.
actress, fake
Yeah.
actress? Yep. Well, you know, she tech she it
Mm,
AI
mm, I don't know.
Tilly uh signed with like talent agencies and you is booking gigs, even though SAG-AFTRA clearly believes that it's not an actor. It's character generated by computer programming. Um, but we were also kind of miffed at comedians in the Rida Fest Comedy Festival in Saudi
Riyadh,
Arabia.
I
Yeah,
believe.
that's what I said. Riyadh. Comedians including David Cross, Mark Maron, and Shane Gillis disavowed the festival and those performing. Like comedians Dave Chappelle, Louis C.K., and Bill Burr
Yeah.
performing. Those three were performing at the festival. Plus, Kevin Hart, Pete Davidson, Russell Peters, Gabriel Iglesias, Wayne Brady, Jeff Ross, Tom Segura, and Hannibal Buress. If you needed a full list of comedians you should no longer support.
Yeah, I mean, this, of course, is a sign of the times in a lot of ways, where it's like, oh, okay, this is where we're at. Is like some comedians do not have any sort of sense of like, pride or just like whatever it is, and like will literally do what they can for the paycheck. And
Paycheck.
like, yeah, I mean, yeah, we've talked a lot about in like video games this year about the effect that the Saudi Arabia has had on trying to, wash themselves of political crimes by pretending to be the place for entertainment. And yeah, this is just one of those examples.
In addition to sports washing that they constantly
Yeah.
doing and game washing, which we talked about in video game section, just another example. All right. We haven't talked about Apple that much aside from the studio. Well, Apple and the Peanuts gang are staying put as they inked a new 5-year deal, keeping Charlie Brown up until 2030. And then Apple also inked a new deal for F1, not just the movie that they put out, but also F1, the actual racing, sports racing, as they will pay approximately $150 million annually for Formula One starting next year.
Yep. 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 They're
So
trying
if you
to
want your racing,
continue.
you gotta get to Apple.
Yeah, they're trying to continue their like weird niche sports thing that they've been trying to do.
Oh, come on, because soccer wasn't enough, because
Yeah, I guess not.
Friday night baseball was not
Not
enough.
that, to be clear, not that soccer is a niche sport. The most popular sport in the world. Yeah, I don't think you can say that as niche, but
Yes. Let's see here. We also had the creator of Yellowstone, Tyler Sheridan, leave longtime partner Paramount and sign a $1 billion deal with NBC Universal. Well, and then following that, Paramount laid off its first round of major layoffs since the merger with Skydance, affecting around 1,000 employees this time, and 1,000 more over the next several weeks from that.
yep.
We also had ABC and ABC, Disney, and YouTube TV go dark as they got into a dispute over ESPN and subscribers. and right in the middle of, like, college sports and major sports football going on.
Yeah.
Because money.
Yeah, basically.
And that kind of brings us to now.
Yeah.
So we have all our stories out there, and we got to pick a story of the year.
Yeah, we do. I think you've made a pretty good, solid argument for the late night stuff. For all the reasons why I just kind of said. It has it has effects beyond just television, but also it's a television institution that I think is somehow dissolving in front of us. Like I think that we've already kind of knew the writing was on the wall from the last few years in the lead up to, what happened with After Midnight. After Midnight is an interesting experiment, right? Because you have
Mhm.
a late night show ending with James Corden, and then you have basically a slot available. And CBS, instead of just doing a new version of that format, decides, well, actually, we're not confident in that idea. We're going to resurrect an old game show idea from another channel. And I don't know, let's let a woman host it. When, of course, famously, there has not been a proper women-led late night show in a very long time. And so, yeah, it's like such a weird choice since you already have this thing that is like a weird alternative version of the thing. And then, of course, that ends. And then you have the stuff with Stephen Colbert, and then, of course, followed almost immediately by the Jimmy Kimmel stuff. And like, it just seems like thing after thing that is just keeping this classic television format from existing in the way that it always has. And then, yeah, like you said, like I said, you have the implications of, like beyond that, politically, what that possibly means when you're losing like the ability for television to like act as resistance towards a government that is actively hostile to opinions that doesn't agree with it. And like, yeah, it's like kind of 2025 the story, isn't it?
Unfortunately, yes. I mean, because
Yeah,
this expanded beyond just like political stuff, because as mentioned at the top, we had the California wildfires suspending some production for Jimmy Kimmel Live as well.
yeah,
And even the president has put Jimmy Fallon, who we don't have talked about on here a lot, in his
yeah.
crosshairs as the next target.
Yeah, and it's a little worrying considering that Fallon is like the least like the least political of all of them. He doesn't really care about that stuff on his show. I don't know, it's confusing. Well, it's not really confusing. It's just another step towards, this administration's whole goal, which is to make things as like, you know, basically as fascist as possible. But yeah, it's rough, but yeah, I think just that like the impact it has is so wide that like yeah, it becomes so emblematic of where we're at right now in media and in politics and in everything, but especially in television.
Well, that was short and easy.
Yeah, we didn't really have to fight on that one. I think you're
Nope.
right. Maybe AI, but like AI is such more of a going concern in other categories right now. AI television is going to be like that's going to be a while until we have to I think reckon with that
Well,
format.
especially because we talked about that last year with the
Yeah.
strikes and how they wrote into their contracts no
Yes.
use of AI for both for the writers' strike, for the Writers
Right.
Guild.
Yeah, writing is still, like definitely something to watch, but like generally speaking, like it has more immediate impact on other categories at the moment.
Yep. All right. Well, late night story
Yeah.
of the year
Yeah.
2025 for television. Now we get to jump in and do
We
our top five shows. Matt,
sure
we kind
do.
of struggled this year.
Yeah, there's a
We
lot of
we
television.
talked well, no, not only did we not struggle to like place our top five,
Sure.
but we only talked about 40 shows this year, which is 38 down from last year.
I mean, I think a lot of other things were happening this year. I think part of it is like a lot of television shows are returning. There was a whole lot of new stuff that really caught our eye,
Mhm.
except for a couple that will probably end up on the top of our lists. But beyond that, yeah, it was like a weird year for television.
I mean, on my list, I think I only have one returning show. Everything else is brand new to 2025.
I surprisingly have three returning shows on mine, but we'll get there.
All right. So let's see here. Who's
Yeah, who
going
went
first?
last? I don't remember what we did. Uh, Not that it
Let's see.
matters.
I went second last time, so I'll go
Okay.
first this time.
All right.
And we're going to start with my repeat show. We'll get to
Yes.
honorable mentions in a bit because
Okay.
filling this fifth spot was a whirlwind turnaround of what could I put here. Because we had great shows this year like Stick and Apple TV Plus, Paradise, Poker Face. This probably would have gone to Culinary Class Wars too, except it came out in the end of
Yeah.
December and it's technically not over yet, so I can't put it on here. Same with Pluribus. A lot of people love that show. It's
Yeah.
very high up everywhere, but it's not over
Right.
yet. I've watched the finale yet, so I don't know if it's going to hit me like The Good Place where I didn't really enjoy it until the very end and all of a sudden everything made sense.
Right.
So holding off on putting that here. So I went back to the only repeat on this list, and that is The Bear.
Yes.
Welcome back to my list. I believe you were not on it for season four or season three.
Three. This is season
That's right.
four.
This is season four. Yeah, The Bear has been a staple on our lists for ever since it debuted. It was rated highly when it came out on my end of the year list. Same with its second season. I didn't fully enjoy season three, which is I think pretty sure I left season three off my list, but it was there on yours.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
season four here gives me some of that back as building on the themes from season three of Legacy, and this time confronting those demons and finding the better path forward. And you get some mixed results sometimes, and sometimes it can lead to surprises, especially when you put your faith into other people. And having that faith can lead to positive outcomes. Does it do everything right? Not necessarily, but where it does end leaves it to like a lot of open possibilities of like where it can go, and very excited of what they did here. And that hour-long episode for the wedding that they always do, this time it's at a wedding.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed that one,
Yeah.
unlike the previous season.
Fair enough.
But yeah, but that's only number five on my list because,
Mhm.
like you mentioned, a lot of good TV came out this year, specifically in 2025. So that means that this is a tough one to put here at number four.
Yeah.
Would I have liked it to be higher? Yes. Would I have liked to have a better ending? Also, yes. But that's why it's here at number four. And I'm talking about The Studio. Now, we both love The Studio, and I'm sure you're going to talk a lot more about The Studio. So it's a show for those who like movies, for those who like production, the behind the scenes stuff. It's for all those movie nerds, those film enthusiasts who like all the backdrop stuff, who like all the interactions that happen outside of what you just see on screen. And it's funny because everything gets touched upon without throughout the season, like the actors and the directors, but also the props, assistants, spotlights, um, parking spaces. It's hilarious how that all like ties together. But even so, at the very end, just ah, is there a better way to phrase Seth Rogen blowing so much smoke up his ass? Because
I
that's
mean,
what the finale felt like.
I don't know if I agree. I think it was.
I mean, and when you get to the very end, it definitely feels like, and then it all worked out, and everyone clapped.
I mean,
And it was
obviously,
too like Hollywood grandized
yeah.
finale
Well, to
for me.
me, yes, to a certain extent, you're right, but at the same time, it also felt like they're just delaying the inevitable, right? Because the CEO of the company is absolutely on his way out. Like
Mhm.
he is toast. And so they have that hanging over them, right? And like so spoilers for the studio season one. And so yeah,
Literally and figuratively hanging over them.
I think that even though they have like maybe won the battle, they have definitely not won the war. And I think that it's season two is going to be where things really go down. Because I think that yeah, they're going to be let's say a comeuppance, I think, coming towards that character. So that's not how I read the ending. I think yes, it's a temporary victory, but I think I knew that like there's a sense of irony in the air, right? Which is like, oh,
Yes,
you have this now, but no, this is not actually a good ending.
right. Like they say in fantasy sports, you don't win at the draft, you win over the course of the season, and this definitely won me over the course of the season. That first episode is a wild ride, talking about Kool-Aid in a double meaning term.
Yeah,
Uh, and yeah, it definitely kept me hooked. I definitely wanted to see where it went next. And like I said, it's a show for all those like Hollywood enthusiasts, and it's just a very delight. So, Seth Rogen, you did a really good job here, but only number four on my list. At number three is one of the most creative endeavors I'd say in recent memory, and it's my limited series of the year, Adolescence. If you don't need me to say how good this is, look at all the awards it's won, and the Emmys, and the BAFTAs, and everything.
right.
It's only four episodes, which means it's short,
Yeah,
but each episode is 1 hour long and all done in one single shot. It's these lack of cuts helps keep that tension building from scene to scene, and the characters play off each other. At times, it might feel like it doesn't. So because it's all in one shot, they do it so well that it doesn't feel like you're watching a play or a Broadway or whatever. That everything just moves with such finesse and direction that even that first episode going from out and the lights going from outside the house to inside the house to across town to the police station, all of it
yeah,
is all in one continuous take, just keeps that momentum going, keeps the tension going, and builds this anxiety in you of what's going to happen next.
yeah,
And even that third episode where it's just the counselor and the kid, very limited cast, very limited space, but done so well that when I saw that and got that, I was like, that's it, done. Throw the hands up, give all those awards. All perfection.
yeah. I mean, from what I have not seen this, but like from what everything I've heard, with the awards and everything, is that yeah, this is a technical showpiece,
Yes.
above all, and that, but also a compelling story. I think that there's a reason why people have glommed onto it so much, because it's relatable and it's relevant to, I think, a
Well, I
current
hope the topic
situation.
is not relatable to you
Well, you know what I
specifically.
mean when I say that, which is like
Yes.
I think it's a tension, like you mentioned realism, and yeah, I think it's a very real
Mhm.
tale from current day, from like something that is very of topical and of interest at the moment.
Yeah, and it keeps that realism throughout. The acting in this is phenomenal. Like it's only four episodes, they're each hour long. You can get through it in an afternoon if you want to binge through it, or a week because it is kind of hot and heavy. Not that kind of hot and heavy, but just heavy subject material. But yeah, it's really great. Keep singing its praises. If you haven't seen Adolescence, you should watch it. But that's only number three. We would have my top two shows. And I need to confess something to
Uh-oh.
everyone. Well, not really
Uh-oh.
confession. If you've been paying attention here on the Meatball Podcast, BoJack Horseman is not one of my favorite shows.
Yes.
I've never put it on my end of the year list. So, I mean, you have, and you can do what you want. It's your list, but I haven't. And so, imagine my surprise when the creator of BoJack Horseman, Raphael, what was it, Bob
Yeah.
Waxberg's,
Yeah. Raphael Bob
um,
Waxberg. Yeah.
yes. So, imagine my surprise when his new show, not Tuca and Birdie, that's just producer. Long story short, comes up, and I take a gamble on it. I'm like, okay, I don't like BoJack Horseman, but this trailer kind of seems interesting to me. I like the concept of family dynamic, this dysfunctional family. Let's see what happens here. I was hooked by the 10-minute mark.
Yeah.
I was hooked from that car ride.
Yeah.
Just the family dynamic of that cold open of here's a family dynamic following a funeral and the bickering that goes on. I was like, I've seen this before. They're looking right at
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
They're saying even though it's centered around a Jewish family,
Hmm.
the themes in it are go beyond just
Oh, yeah.
religion. They go into all family dynamics and
Yes.
like being a parent, being a
Right.
child trauma, and how that
Yeah.
affects you growing up. All those unresolved issues, all the stuff that you don't speak about that ends up bubbling up and boiling over.
Hmm.
Even stuff that's not related to this guy specific, like the Kendra episode, is so captivating as well that it feels like there's a whole lot of different aspects in life
Hmm.
that both like shape and mold who you are as a person, and it's put so well here in Long Story Short in the various characters.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think on paper it shouldn't work, right? Because on paper you're like, how many shows have we done about families? Like it's such an like it's literally just like late night, a format that has existed since the beginning of television. It predates
Mhm.
television, with radio plays. Like it's such a like staple of a genre entertainment. And the BoJack guy is going to do a family show. Like he already did family trauma on BoJack. It's like it seems
Mhm.
like on paper, it's like what are we doing here? But the specificity of it is why it works. You're right, is because unlike what some people are saying lately in media, I'm looking at you, certain creative people behind Pixar movies. Is that the more specific a story is, the more universal it feels? Because you're right. What people are able to do is they're able to extrapolate and be like, oh, this is similar enough to my lived experience and my experience with my family that it doesn't matter if I'm not Jewish or if I'm not, exactly having the experience that they're having. The emotion is real. The emotion that feels that tension, that like back and forth, that like, oh, I love my family, but I kind of hate my family. Like that's such a relatable feeling. And like,
Mhm.
yeah, and the way they do, the shows like in a non-chronological order makes it fun. You're like filling out a puzzle almost like while watching these characters evolve. And like you're like, oh, okay, that's why this happened. And like this is and so you're actively like paying attention to details in a way that you maybe wouldn't otherwise.
Yeah.
And of
Not
course
only
we
is
know.
each Yeah,
Yeah,
not only is each episode non-linear in its
right.
in the way it's set up, but each episode in the season
Yeah,
when it plays out is also non-linear, non-chronological. So yeah, you are piecing this kind of mystery together of, oh,
yeah,
this person's no longer here. Oh, how they die. Or oh,
yeah,
this person's like met and like, oh, what happened here?
yeah.
So
And of
it it
course,
it leads
yeah,
to interesting like outcomes
yeah.
over the course of the season.
And the one thing you're not mentioning is it's also one of the funniest shows on television. Like
Yes.
the thing about BoJack is that even though it had some baggage because of how much like the main character was hard to deal with, it also had some of the funniest gags because they're just like the writers are just so good at what they do and this is no different. Like there's so many great references to things that no other show would reference, so many great visual gags, like so much they're just pros at this kind of humor, and it continues with this show. Like I think in the lineage of the people who have been creative leads on this is like, yeah, this is still some of the best comedy on television. And then on top of like all of the stuff you talked about, which is the ingenious like structure and also the real family story that is being told here. It's like just such a recipe for just a wonderful one of a kind show, and I hope we get more. Even though I bet the pitch for more seasons on this is going to be a uphill battle because
Well, we
unlike
do get a
BoJack,
second season.
I mean, yeah, yes, but that's because of how animation is purchased on Netflix, is that technically you
Yes.
do one and they split it. I really hope that this survives, and I hope it runs as long as BoJack got to run, even though it doesn't have the "Hey, look, there's funny talking animals" hook, which I think kept BoJack going as long as it did. So fingers crossed we get more.
Yeah, but the voice acting in this is also superb. Abby Jacobson steals everything.
Yes. Oh
Steals
my
the show here.
God, she's such a good voice actor. Like on just every time, I was just like thinking the whole time, I was like, man, she's gonna have a whole second career doing this.
Yeah, but Max Greenfield, Ben Feldman, everyone
Yes.
here is so
Yes.
good
Everybody's firing on
playing
all
off each other.
cylinders. And you need it. You need that kind of
Mhm.
because it doesn't work if you don't have like the cast really getting behind these characters and making them fully realized and three-dimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this
But
two-dimensional show is only number two on my list.
yes.
So that brings me to my number one show.
Yes.
And I hope you're paying attention all the way back in January 2025 because after the first episode, I picked up the phone, I placed my order, and I said, beat this.
You said admit me to the hospital.
And no, nothing I saw this year could top it. And just like you said, the cast dynamic for that works for long story short works here phenomenally in the pit.
Yeah.
It's veteran, yeah, so many like veteran actors in here, uh, being pinned by Noah Wiley,
Hmm.
going up against with a bunch of newcomers as well in this hospital-based show. The easiest premise is say that it's ER meets 24 because each
Yeah.
episode is an hour in the day in this hospital shift, but it's so much more dynamic than that. The way these characters interact with each other, the way you see the hospital interact with the people, the way you see how they deal with a sudden tragedy in the middle of it. And it makes you wonder, will this day ever end? Like, yes, you know it will end, but when you're in the middle of it and you feel in the middle of it, you feel all the like the rough, the grime, the the anxiety, the more than just like anxiety, the tension, the
Hmm.
building, the ramping. Just will this day ever end? And even going so as to breaking down your characters, that your main character is not this infallible, all perfect being, that he is human, just like
Yeah.
everyone. And the fact they always keep flashing back to him working in COVID it makes you feel for all these not just the actions, but like doctors in real life of
Yeah.
how do they keep going forward? How do you keep going to the next patient? How do you keep going? Because that's the great thing about the pit is that because it doesn't break, because each hour flows into the next, you are with them in this journey of having just dealt with drama, but then you immediately have to switch and go right to the next patient because they need your help just as much as the previous person did. And it's such a great look into the life of just
Yeah.
an ER hospital working in a shift. And that's just for the 15 hours that it's in. And they do it all again every day.
Hmm.
And I'm excited for season two coming up here in January as well.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's a recipe for a show that's perfect for you. Like,
Yes,
I think that like you already love medical drama. I know the amount of times you brought
the
up The Good
good
Doctor on here
doctor.
is proof of that. And like, yeah, and so
Yes,
combine
been
that with
watching House as well.
right
Like
house
we had to
and
figure that. Yeah, medical drama. Like I said, medical dramas
yeah.
has been done. We've seen this. It's not something new, especially in TV.
But the way they're doing it here is something new. And I think that
Hmm.
you're right. Like ratcheting up the pressure to have just a slice of every episode just be a slice of these doctors' day is, yeah, is like I can imagine just the tension, the pressure of every moment, every single thing that happens.
It, it just the cast works so well and bounces off each other, and it's just a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
Say what you want about the Michael Crichton estate suing them for uh
For basically doing ER too.
being
Yeah.
ER2, yeah. But it feels fresh. It feels
Yeah.
new. Yes, it is set in an emergency room of the hospital,
Sure.
but it goes so much more beyond just
Oh yeah.
surgeries
Well, because you
that
can
they're
do so
doing.
much more with a streaming network than you could do on
Mhm.
network television. Like the thing is that the ER, was became what it became with people getting arms chopped off by helicopters because they were forced to make more absurd and like more and more absurd plots because of the like I'm sure that there's only so many stories you can tell in that format. But this
Mhm.
is a freedom, I'm sure, for these writers and this creative team. It like allows them to do whatever they want with this premise, with these characters. And yeah, I'm sure that there's way more to see, especially with how long ER ran.
But yeah, excited for season one. I
Yeah.
always tell everyone if you haven't seen The Pit, watch The Pit. And then just excited for season two coming up here
Yeah.
real shortly in the new year.
I mean, it's the most not for me thing possible, so you're not going to convince me. I'm
And I
not
know.
really here to see surgery scenes, and I also don't really care about medical drama. So it's like, it's a hard sell for me, and I'm sure some people out there. But you're right. If you
Yeah, but
love
when you
medical
get
drama,
blood squirting on someone within the
ugh,
first
yeah,
episode,
no, thank you. Oh, I've heard some things that happen in this show, and I'm like disgusted just by hearing it. And so I'm like,
yeah.
no, I'm good. I'll pass.
But
I'll
that's what
pass
helps
on
makes it
it.
so like feel like real and lived in. It's like
Yeah.
I like this.
Well, I'm glad you like it, and I'm glad it's your number one.
Yes.
All
But
right.
you've got your top five to share with
Yeah.
us.
I got good news. Mine's probably going to be short because I feel like I already kind of said my piece about a couple of these. But I'll start with bottom, which is a show you've not gone over and was not on your top five, which was season 2 of Poker Face. So
You actually finished it.
I did. We finished it, and oh boy, they have taken that premise as far as they can take it. I think
Yes.
that's it. I think you have to end this idea after that final episode of season 2 because you did the thing. Like you did, like the writers did the thing, and like so this just like solidified. But it was such a crazy experience that last couple episodes that I'm like, you know what, that solidifies, it has to be on this list. I'm sorry, like it's still great television, and honestly, even number 5 is kind of like doing it a disservice because I feel like it should be higher, like my gut says. But that's just how good all 5 of these shows on my list are, is that like it was really, really hard. I think it's the first time on television I had to decide, like, oh God, I have to only settle for 5? Like I usually struggle, but this year it was really strong. And yeah, Poker Face is emblematic of it. Like, so yes, you are getting season 2 of the show that we loved so much with season 1. You are getting the
Mhm.
same format with the same amazing guest character performances by some of our favorite actors. You're getting Natasha Lyonne just killing it in that role. And you're getting a different layer of it this time. Like you learn more about her character. You learn more about her like ins and outs and like why she's doing this and like as she interacts with other people. You also get to see her kind of make a friend, which is an interest, and I say kind of because, we know how that ends.
Yes.
But like it's an interesting dynamic that the show hadn't tried before that I think really worked in its favor. For a couple episodes there, I was like, this is a really interesting twist for this format, is to make her have a confidant and like make, what would it be like if Charlie Cale had somebody that it was there, like to be like her Watson, if you will. Of course, they twist that and they
Mhm.
end up taking that away by the end of the series. And she's back at square one in a way. In fact, maybe even -1 if you think about it. But like, I just think that the writing is so strong, the directing is so strong, and every episode of this that is just some of the most compelling television that's out there. And I feel like people kind of slept on season 2. I feel like people are not talking about it when, in my opinion, it's just as strong or maybe stronger than the stuff we got in season 1. Like, I think it's an incredible format. I'm sad that Peacock is pulling the plug. I do hope that Ryan Johnson gets what he wants, which is this like idea of it being an anthology series where another actor takes the role and like you get to continue doing Poker Face but with a different person. It's an interesting idea, and I really hope he does that and makes a deal because I would love to see more of this Columbo style how done it. Not really how done it because we know how it's done, but
How's
like you know
that?
what I mean. But like it's interesting, and I do really hope that we see more of it because this was just a blast of a season.
Yeah, I mean, this was one of the ones that fights for my end of the year list. I loved
Yeah,
season one. It was high on my list when it came out,
yeah,
but it's just, like you said, it's too much good television
yeah.
this year.
And
Uh,
shout out to Patty Harrison, who
mhm.
just absolutely kills it. I mean, no pun intended. Um, again, spoilers. But yeah, she is just incredible. She's incredible in both ways. She's incredible in like convincing you that she's just this normal weirdo, and then also, spoiler, um, convincing you that she's this badass hitman. Like you believe it, you totally believe it because she's so specific that she could either lean either way, and like she pulls it off. And like I was convinced. Like I was surprised by the twist. I'll say it got me. And I think that if she hadn't been so good in that role, I don't think it would have worked. And I think that you would have had people say, "Did the show jump the shark?" But for me, I think it was a perfect twist. And like I said, the ultimate end game for that concept. Like, what do you do with somebody who can't like be lied to? You somehow introduce a character that is, as the show says, a kryptonite or like the exact opposite, like a real rival for her. And like they
Mhm.
pulled that off in a way that I thought was convincing. But that's it. When you've done that, there's no more things to do. And like I think that maybe if this does end here, maybe this is the way it should have ended.
I mean, how many more times can you kill someone
Right.
and figure it out?
Yeah.
But
Although
that's the
she
one thing
wasn't.
that's really great about the show is that because it's like a traveling show,
Yeah.
that you are in a new place every week and you're
Yeah.
introduced to these new characters every week.
Yeah. And I'll say it here. I'll probably talk about this again in movies for a certain movie we both watched, but
Hmm.
it will never not be exciting when there's a reveal that somebody survived a deadly car crash. Works every time. Anyways. But yeah, so
Anyways,
that's my
yeah.
number five. That's
Only
Poker
number
Face.
five on your list.
Number four is a show you already talked about, and I'll agree with you on why it's here for the same reasons you said, which is yes, The Bear returns to my top five. It's a little lower this year because yeah, it is trying to I think find a very interesting niche in television that I don't think it's doing stuff that a lot of television shows are not doing, which is interesting. Is they're like, hey, everybody loved when it was like a comedy with dramatic elements with like that was about running a restaurant. Hey, but what if we just basically made it a drama that was just about people talking to each other? And you know what? It works.
Still
And I
works.
think the reason why it works is because of the writing and because of the performances. Like The Bear is a going concern because you care about these people and you want to see them act their pants off. And that is what season 4 did. Is like it continued where season 3 left off. It was actually an interesting bait and switch, I thought, with season 4. The first episode suggests that there's a literal ticking time bomb here. There's literally going to be tension that what didn't really exist in season 3 about whether this will actually they'll be able to pull this off in the way that they need to in order to stay afloat. But it doesn't really do that until the last episode. Like they kind of pull out the rug and it's like, actually no, despite there being a ticking time bomb about to explode, we're still going to take our time with these characters. We're going to really listen to them. We're going to go into the dynamics of each other. We're going to have that, wedding be the climax and be like really talk about their relationships between these characters, even though the time is still ticking behind them. And I think that's such an interesting storytelling device to me because to me it's like a metaphor for like even though there is a goal behind you that like you have to meet, you are still a human being who needs to figure yourself out, who needs to figure everybody else out. You need to figure out the human stuff first because that stuff is second. Because who do you have? You only have yourself. And I think that leads to, of course, the big reveal at the end, which is, oh, we're going to have a real shakeup of the dynamics if Carmen actually leaves, and of like what will that happen? What ripples will that have that will affect the restaurant? And it does leave it just open ended enough where you're like, okay, all right, season 5, you've got to tell me what's going to happen here because like, oh boy, we left it kind of a weird part. And so yeah, it's like it's such an interesting show because like it does kind of surprise you with the what it chooses to focus on, and it keeps changing but the one constant is those characters that you care about, that writing that is, as you said, just as sharp as ever, that is just as like again, it's just the performances are the reason why you keep watching this show. And like it's just like for me, that's enough. For me, that's enough for like to ignore all the, all the white noise in the background that, of people that are like, oh, it's not what it used to be. For me, it's still doing the thing that got me in the first place, which is nothing else is like this dynamic between these characters. Nothing else sounds like this. Nothing else looks like this. It is directed impeccably. It is written impeccably. And yeah, it's why it's still here. Like, against all odds, I still like The Bear. Sorry. People cannot convince me that The Bear is bad.
Also, the thing that they did really well in the first episode here is that they took what essentially what's happened in the previous seasons in what you think is just more chaos, more yelling, more shouting, but then they bring in, like I said, this ticking time clock that puts this overarching thing like above everyone's head. This literal guillotine of once it hits zero, everything comes down and shifts everyone's focus, shifts everyone's perspective away from the chaos amongst each other into how do we work with each other? How can we make this like so much better than what it has been in the past? And that's right, like you said, you get into more of those character dynamics, into more talking with each other rather than just yelling and screaming because clearly that wasn't working before. And that's like I said, a part of the main things about season three is the legacy. What are you instilling in the people around you? What are they ultimately thinking about you, not just as a leader, but like as a teammate, as a co-worker?
Yeah.
And moving from that to the next logical step in the Bear season four
Hmm.
works so well.
Yeah. Yeah. It has a lot to say about like it feels like season three was very much like continuing the family theme, and season four is really focusing on like the found family theme. Like we're
Hmm.
just like, okay, we're done with the actual family drama, but what about these characters? Where are we leaving these characters now? Like, what are these characters going to do about their workplace drama? And like, it is like, yeah, it does come to a head by the end, and yeah, it has real questions about what it means to be a leader and passing the torch, and like what like when you've had enough, like when the person realizes like, oh, I neglected this other stuff this entire time, should I actually go for it? It's a valid question that a lot of people get to in their life.
Yeah,
Yeah. That's the bear. That's
yeah.
number four on my list. There are three more shows though. Number three, another show that is returning this year that you did not talk about, is one of like I'll say it's like not guilty pleasure. Guilty pleasure is not the right term, but
This is
like
Matt the show.
it is definitely something that is very much for me and probably won't appear on most other people's lists, but it appears on my list because I just love it so much, which is Pokemon Concierge. Like, this is the second season, if you can call it that. They're very short, and the actual episodes are very short, which means that just like I think like what I said last year, the metaphor I use is it's just like a summer vacation. It's like you by the time it's done, you wish there was more of it. Like, it does feel like a little dessert that you're having on the beach in the summer. But that's good. That's not a bad thing. And I think sometimes we need that. And I think both seasons of Pokemon Concierge have been that for me, which is just a little treat reminding me, one, how much I love the world of Pokemon, how much you can do with the world of Pokemon, and just like it being just this sweet, innocuous, just like fluffy thing that is still just has enough substance in it to like have something to bite into. But above all, the thing that I love and admire most is the fact that it shows that there's so much potential for stories in the Pokemon universe that are not just about training and battling. It's a story about like being good at your job in a way. It's a story about like becoming a leader out of nowhere, not too dissimilar from the bear. Um, and then it's also a story of like in this case, this season, about forgiving and like the potential of like, oh, this is somebody who used to be in my life who's returning to my life. What's that going to mean for my work going forward? And honestly, we won't know really the answer to that question until the show continues. And of course, the animation is still just as impeccable as season one. It's beautiful to look at with stop motion animation. All the Pokemon are so cool, cool looking, and the character animation is great. And just it's still an amazingly beautiful like showpiece for an HDR television. Like you didn't have that when season one aired, but now you do. And so I bet it's a real great showpiece for your TV. It
Yeah,
just
it's fun. It's nice to look at. It's a very calming show and
yeah,
a much very different from like all other shows out there. The actual conflict is not like really high stakes conflict. It's not like end of the
yeah,
world. Oh my God, this is like end all be all conflict. It's
right.
day to day conflict, the daily
Yes.
struggles
It's
that you deal with.
as the Japanese would call it, it's slice of life is what it
Hmm.
is. It's a slice of life anime, but with Pokemon. And I think I've kind of always wanted that, and like I'm glad that we have a thing that is going to hopefully continue giving me that feeling because, like, yeah, you just don't get that in the Pokemon world. There's so much drama and tension and like, oh, you have to win the battle and stuff in the narrative in Pokemon, and the fact that we at least have one thing that's not that is very welcome to me.
It's fun. It's
It's fun.
cute. It's
It's yeah,
cute. It's fun. It's heartwarming to watch.
yes. But then we have two and one, and honestly, these are co-number ones to me, but I did have to rank them because both of these shows are doing very different things, but are like, in my opinion, both the funniest shows on television. I didn't laugh more at anything this year than I did at these two shows. Number two, I'll be brief on, obviously, because we already talked about Long Story Short at length. I talked about how I feel about it. So, yes, go back to that last conversation. But yeah, still just probably the best animated show right now, the funniest easily. I wish there was more of this kind of thing because, yeah, and I hope he gets to make more of it because it's just fantastic, like we talked about. But yes, my number one is the studio, the rightful number one, in my opinion,
I'm sorry, it's still down here at number four for me, but go ahead.
for all the
Why do
reasons
you like
why,
it more than me then?
well, for all the reasons why you said, but for me, it's just so funny. It was absolutely the most I laughed in years, I think, at a television show. It had me like you can ask a friend of the show, Christy, about like how much it was killing me. I don't remember the last time a show I thought was this funny. Like that's already a high bar. Then on top of that, just the craft of this show is amazing. Kept thinking episode after episode, how does this work? How are they doing this? Because you are literally you have to film a show about filming a show. That's got to be a mess. And like there's so many shots that I'm just like, how does any of this work when you like go back like when the camera zooms and you're like realize that you're on a set. Like, oh my God, you're on a set which is on a set. It just explodes in my mind how they even put this thing together. And then, of course, on top of that, you have oh, this is made for me kind of content, which is like, oh, I recognize these names. Oh, I know what they're referencing. I know enough about the business why I know why this is funny. It's so inside baseball sometimes that it felt like I did think sometimes like, well, who is this for? I guess me. Like I guess us. Like, who else would this be for? It's so specific. But again, this is the theme of the year, right? It's just like specificity leads to universality. It's like a fact is so specific is like one really entertaining for the people who get it. But even if you don't get it, there's a real universal story about again being thrust into a leadership role, maybe not being the right person for it, trying to have to feel out like whether the things that you can get away with, the things that you can't get away with, and also what that does to your psyche, right? You weren't a fan of the ending, but I think, like I said before, I think there's still enough tension behind that ending that it's not really as happy as it seems. But even if it is, I think it fuels what's happening to that character, right? Seth Rogen's character is going basically from, oh, maybe I'm not the right person to getting a huge head and being like, oh, wait, no, I am the right person. And that's dangerous. And that's also the perfect recipe for an even funnier premise going into season two. Because what if that character actually thinks he can pull all of this stuff up off? How funny is that going to be, right? It's like if you're a comedy, you want to go that direction. Your writers need to be figuring out what is the most, like the biggest opportunity for comedy that we have here. That's your answer. Is what if Seth Rogen thinks he is the guy who can lead this studio to like a real legacy like he wants to see it? Like what if everybody starts believing in him? And then of course you have like the meta commentary stuff, which is a lot of this stuff is happening. Like, right? Like you see like CEOs in real life, especially entertainment CEOs, becoming these absolute monsters and betraying the art because of that. And so it's a show that is commenting on that very thing on like it seems so timely, it seems so topical, but also timeless in a way. It is the closest I think we've gotten to 30 Rock since 30 Rock of a show that is so true about entertainment, but also so over the top that you're like, no, certainly this will never happen, but just real enough where there's a kernel of truth even in the most over the top moments. And I think that that's such a, a high wire to walk, but I think they nail it, and it's easily the best television show of the year.
There, there's a lot that they do within the show where they're commenting while it's happening,
Yes.
and I think that's a lot of the charm within the show itself that I really like. And that what brings itself. It's very hard to write this on paper and then eventually and then have to go back and be like, well, we can't really do this, so we have to change it up. It
Yeah,
feels like no one said no to the show on anything.
right. No, it
Even
seems like
Martin
Seth,
Scorsese shows up. He's like, why
right.
is he here?
And then
Like,
he
because he said yes.
and they make him cry.
Yeah.
It's so good. And like that's the thing is like do think it's just somebody just wrote a blank check for Seth Rogen and just like make the show that you want to make, and he did. And hopefully he'll get to continue to do that. And that's the craziest thing about this is that I was really skeptical about this idea coming into it. Even like I want to say like halfway through the pilot, I was like, man, they really have to pull this off if this is going to work because I don't know about this premise, right?
Mhm.
But by the end of it, you're like, no, I'm sold. And again, just like stuff that you mentioned, like Adolescence and The Pit, the extra hook here is that they're trying really like really daring stuff with how it's shot, right? There's a lot of
Mhm.
the oneer, as the show likes to talk
Yes.
about, is part of the way that this show is shot. It's very much shot to be claustrophobic, to make you believe like, oh, you are in the body of the Seth Rogen character and you are dealing with the stress and the tension of being moment to moment in his situation. And it lends itself to the comedy. I think that it itself is a comic device because being in that position makes these things feel even funnier and even bigger and even crazier than they would have been outside of that. Like, yeah,
There's also a lot of fun, creative, outside the box thinking, like with the film noir episode.
yes,
And it's like, oh, how do you have an inner monologue in
right,
real life?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's great how they pull it off.
It's great. It's just, yeah, I don't know. It's just such an inventive like thing. Like, yeah, I don't know. I can't wait to see more of it. And yeah, it's just so funny and so on the like the pulse of where we're at right now with media that like yeah, it's just I feel like it's going to continue giving, which is great.
All right. Well, we need to give a consensus as to what our show of the year is.
All right, I think it's probably between two shows for us. Unfortunately, because I did not watch The Pit, I don't think it is allowed.
Boo.
But it
You know,
does
it is
say
the best
that
thing on television.
according to you, I think it's a debate
And the
between
Emmys.
I think it's between Long Story Short and the studio. So I guess it depends on which one you like more of those two, because I would choose the studio, obviously, from where my placement is.
Mhm.
But if you have an argument why you believe that Long Story Short, a show you have above the studio on your list, is actually the winner, because honestly, I'm okay with either.
So you're in a win-win situation, aren't
I'm
you?
in a win-win situation. Like I said, these are my technically my co-number ones here, and so I'm okay with either way we go.
All right. Well, even though I didn't like those last 5 minutes and how it ended, I loved everything else about it. And I think you convinced
Yeah.
me in making the studio our number one
I,
show.
it's a perfect media boat show when you think about it.
Yes.
Is like because it's what we talk about on this show, like it like made into a comedy essentially, and just blown up as big as they could go. And I think that that deserves praise. I think there's a reason why it won the Emmy this year. Like just like they've created something special, and like I think we're the perfect show to talk about it.
Yeah. All right. So the studio
Yeah.
is Media Boat Show of the Year. And you
All right.
definitely did a good job convincing me there at the end.
Yeah. It's like nothing else, let me tell you.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of nothing else, we have some honorable mentions to get through. Of other stuff that we
Yeah.
watched. I want to give a real hard shout out to Hacks, the latest season,
Yeah.
where it
Yeah.
actually dealt with late night television.
Right. Speaking of, yeah.
So great. I as great as Hacks is, and it's always good. Somehow I've never put it on my list for one reason or another. And maybe if we put these out to 10, it will definitely appear on there. Same thing with Stick over at Apple TV Plus.
Mm,
Love the concept, love the comedy in it. It's just there's no room on the top five. Just so much good stuff here.
mm,
Um, we also had some fun in watching Building the Band,
yeah.
Quarterback season two. We also had the end of Big Mouth, the series
Right.
finale, as they walked off into the blank page.
I'll talk about two shows that I actually thought were kind of disappointing
Okay.
this year. Two shows returning. One of our favorites from last year, A Man on the Inside. I went into it thinking, oh, this is an interesting new premise. But by the end of it, I just didn't think it worked as well as season one. I think without that real emotional arc that you had Ted Danson's character going through in season one, I think
Hmm.
you do take a little bit of the momentum out of it. And while I did like how the finale tried to do a twist on top of a twist to keep you interested, um, I just didn't think it was as compelling. They were trying to do some storytelling about relationships, sort of, and like I just didn't think it hit as hard. And yeah, it didn't work quite as well, even though it did have some funny moments. So yeah, a little disappointed with that. But the bigger disappointment, and probably my biggest disappointment of the year, is well, you're going to hit diminishing returns eventually if you have a show run long, and that's what happened, unfortunately, to Only Murders in the Building.
I thought you were
This
going to go
was
here.
by far the weakest season that they've had yet. I didn't think the mystery was that great. I didn't think any of the new guest characters were that interesting or funny. And there were one too many convenient plot devices based on things that I don't think these characters that we know well at this point should have been doing. I was
Hmm.
not convinced by Selena Gomez's character being jealous of anybody. That did not work at all. Also, the payoff for that was really weak, and there was basically no actual emotional arc there. Two, I don't really understand what they were trying to do with Steve Martin's character and the testosterone placebo. That was really just, I guess, a plot device to get the ending to work. Also, didn't really work for me and had no actual emotional stakes in him actually finding someone to be in a relationship with, except I guess maybe denying the mob wife. I don't know. It was weird. And like as a premise, like as a framing device, I just didn't think the mob storyline was that as interesting as things they've done in the past. I thought the movie stuff was better. I thought the theater stuff was better. There just wasn't enough of a hook with I guess there's a casino and there's billionaires. It felt a little bit too close to other stuff recently that we've had about billionaires, like let's say Ryan Johnson's Glass Onion that did that premise way better than this did.
Hmm.
I don't know. I just thought that and the stuff with the robot was weak and just not funny. Like I'm sorry. Like it's a show that has been so strong in the past, just to like have such a dud of a season really just takes the momentum out. And just it just felt like even by the time it ended, I just wasn't satisfied by any of it.
Yeah, unfortunate.
Oh,
Yeah, well, we'll see where it goes with the next season because the
yeah.
way they set up that next season is very ham-fisted and
Yes.
maybe not.
I thought that, that scene where they're like, oh, well, it's not really in the building. I felt it was supposed to be like winky and naughty and supposed to be funny. It just felt cheesy to me. I'm just
Yeah,
like, yes, we get it. We get the what you're doing. Like it's like we were already there a season ago. Like we get that you're stretching this premise as far as it can go. To me, though, that is the sign that a show probably should have ended.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's just me.
You mean it should have just ended at the wedding, like
Maybe.
all most
Yeah.
shows
When
do?
you have when you have a character get married, I think yeah, that's probably good to end there. But they kept going and they're gonna keep going. Sorry, I just don't know. I'm hoping that they prove me wrong with the next season.
Yeah. Show that's always fun that I feel like is a guilty pleasure. Twisted Metal season two. Always fun to watch. I'm glad that they do more of that.
Mhm.
And uh, yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Oh yeah, we
Yeah,
have Black Mirror this year. It was strong,
yeah.
but not that strong.
I'll give a shout out something else that you said. So yeah, we're not talking about Culinary Class Wars yet because it's still in progress. Pluribus
Yep.
because it's still in progress, but also in progress is the Eras Tour documentary series.
Yes.
I'll just give that a quick shout out. Interesting enough for me to maybe talk a little bit more on the proper show. But yeah, I don't think it's quite as strong as Miss Americana. I think there's a high bar to meet there. But as what it is, like a little like tour doc that goes into like the nitty gritty of the dancers and like the behind the scenes people, interesting for what it is, and an interesting peek into how something this big works. But ultimately, not amazing television so far.
And unlike Miss Americano, which was 2 hours, this is a six
Right?
hour
Yeah,
doc.
exactly. Let's keep going.
All right. And
Oh,
I
and
think that'll do. Unless you
did you
got
talk
something
about
else.
Severance?
Briefly shout out Severance,
Yeah.
but again, it's just one of those shows where I I don't know if I like it enough to put
Yeah,
it on any list. And I don't
fair
know if I
enough.
like it enough to keep watching it. It's a great concept, great high concept. I just the, eventually you get to too many twists in that show. It's like you're giving me more questions than answers.
Oh, I have one shout out to something that actually did surprise me. Not enough to make my list, but I just want to mention it. Netflix's My Melody and Kuromi, of course, based on the Sanrio characters of the same name. That was a trip, man. And speaking of stop motion, very impressive stop motion animation through that whole thing. I honestly, some of the scenes I was like, how did they even pull this off? And how long was this in development? Because how? I kept asking myself, how did they do it? Um, weird show. But definitely, I think by the end of it, surprised me with how they resolve things and where it ended up going. I think that those characters are a fun dynamic when they're paired together. I mean, as usual, when you have opposites, like the very nice cheery character and the very like cynical, like goth coded character that actually is sweet on the inside. Like, yeah, it still works. Like a comedy, like it's a comedy staple for a reason. Like, there's a reason why those things are paired. But yeah, I thought it was cute and did some crazy things and was definitely an adventure. But yeah, interesting choice out there if you're looking for something in the Sanrio universe after Agretzko ended. But yeah,
And speaking of animated shows, My Hero
yes,
Academia ended this year.
right.
So if you want to watch superhero high schoolers,
Yeah, we didn't talk
all
about.
seasons are available.
Yeah, we have an anime shaped hole in your list this year.
Yes. What
Anyway,
do you mean? Long story short's there. It's animated.
eh, long story short, it's not anime.
It's animated.
Yes, it's animated, but anyway,
All right. Anyways, that'll do it for this
yes,
episode of our end of the year wrap up
yeah,
in television.
yeah. Thank you for joining us for this wrap up episode. We'll be back for another wrap up episode. If you're all, which is movies. But if you
Hmm.
haven't, but you might actually be living in the future, and you might have all four category wrap ups to watch, and you could just watch them right now if you want.
Or listen to it or
Yeah,
wherever
listen
you
to
get your
it.
podcast. Yeah, but that's for future you to decide. So yeah, if you are living in the future and everything is up,
Yep.
you can listen to it right now.
In the
Bye
meantime,
bye.
we'll see you next time.